All right, today we're going to break down one of the most ambitious, most grueling YouTube survival challenges I think I've ever seen. It's a story of pure ingenuity, incredible endurance, and, well, an absolutely epic failure. Let's get right into it.
So right from the jump, the stakes were made crystal clear. A whole week, stranded in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, where the only way out was a boat they had to build themselves. The tone wasn't just serious, it was life or death. The goal was simple: escape or, perish.
And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. You watch them go through days of backbreaking work, you see them pull off this impossible journey, and you expect that triumphant ending. But it just never comes. This is the story of how they lost.
Okay, so let's set the scene. How did this whole crazy idea even begin?
The whole premise sounds like it's straight out of a movie, right? You take a group of friends, you drop them in the middle of nowhere, and you basically tell them their only hope of getting home is to build a seaworthy boat out of nothing. As Jimmy himself said, it's that question every guy wonders. If we were really stranded, could we actually escape?
And that quote right there just perfectly captures the core problem. I mean, these guys weren't survival experts. They weren't professional shipbuilders. They're content creators. Their skills are in telling a story, not navigating the open ocean. And they were facing a task so completely absurd that even they started questioning their own sanity right from the beginning.
So now, let's get into the struggle itself and see how this incredible build actually started to take shape. How do you even begin to forge hope when all you have to work with is whatever washes up on the beach?
First things first, they had to survive the island itself. And this wasn't some tropical getaway, okay? This place was a hostile environment, home to some seriously deadly snakes like the fer-de-lance, not to mention venomous spiders. They were constantly fighting off these threats, plus this crippling heat that was threatening to take them down before they even hammered a single nail.
So with that as their reality, they started this insane build. Step one was a simple shelter, just to make it through the nights. Then it was days of scavenging, searching the jungle for bamboo, combing the beaches for trash. They were literally turning garbage, like those 4 essential blue barrels, into the foundation of their escape, lashing them together to make the hulls. The ingenuity was just incredible, painstakingly weaving a deck from bamboo and rope, and then somehow crafting a sail, oars, and even a rudder, all from salvage parts.
And the physical toll was just immense. This quote from Nolan, who was on the verge of heat stroke just trying to carry one of those crucial barrels, it shows you just how close to the edge they were operating the entire time. They were running out of water, out of energy, and out of time.
After days of this brutal work, their trash heap sailboat was somehow ready. And this brings us to the climax of the story, a grueling, seemingly endless voyage across the open sea.
And listen, this wasn't some quick trip. We're talking about a 12-hour battle of attrition. The whole journey was this insane roller coaster of small victories, like a helpful tide shift around hour 8, but also crushing setbacks, like a paddle breaking super early on. It was just hour after hour of them being pushed way past their breaking points.
And their plan? It completely fell apart. They were hoping the sail and the current would do most of the work. Nope. Instead, they were forced to paddle, non-stop for 12 hours. Team members were dropping like flies from seasickness and pure exhaustion, leaving just a couple of them to carry the whole mission. The reality was just a chaotic, desperate struggle.
But even when they were on the verge of total collapse, their resolve was just unbreakable. I mean, despite the pain, the sickness, the thought of quitting was just never on the table. They were all in, no matter what it cost them.
And that determination, it almost paid off. After more than 10 hours out there, they were agonizingly close to their destination. And this is where the story becomes truly heartbreaking.
Half a mile. That's it. After crossing miles of dangerous open ocean, that's all that separated them from success. They could see the beach, they could almost taste victory.
You can just feel the sheer elation in those words, right? The countdown had started. After everything they had been through, they believed, without a single doubt, that they had made it. The relief, the joy, it was right there.
And then, in an instant, it was just over. The tide, which had been their ally, turned against them. It started pulling them backward, away from the island, just erasing all their progress. The despair in that final quote is just crushing. They were defeated by a force they simply couldn't fight.
So, what do you do with a failure that public, that spectacular? Well, you reframe the entire narrative. Let's look at the real takeaway from this whole ordeal.
You see, in a quiet moment of reflection, right before they started the voyage, Jimmy revealed the real motivation. It was never really about the prize money or even reaching the other island. It was about stripping everything away and sharing a raw, unfiltered, challenging experience with his friends, kind of like the old days.
And this is the ultimate point, isn't it? By failing to reach the shore, they actually created a far more compelling story than a simple victory ever could have been. The story of their struggle, their near success, and that heartbreaking defeat, that became the real treasure.
So that leaves us with this question to chew on. In this world of extreme content, where authenticity and a great narrative are everything, is the story of an unforgettable failure sometimes more powerful, more valuable than a simple win? What do you think?